Hello, my name is Jordan, and today we're going to be going through my personal top 10 favourite monsters to run in Dungeons & Dragons. And these monsters are all going to be coming from the Monster Manual. This is the base vanilla Monster Manual. Nothing else, nothing from Vornikheimen's Tomb of Foes or anything like that. Just the vanilla monsters from the Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual. I'm going to start off with number 1 on page 19. You can find the animated armour. The animated armour is great for a number of different reasons, but the main reason for me is that they can just be put in anywhere you like. They can be guarding some kind of magical treasure or some kind of magic item. They can be used as an alert system for some kind of spellcaster trying to keep their nefarious deeds secrets. They can also look like any kind of armour you like. They can be armour fitted for an orc, a tiefling, a Dragonborn, Goliath, human, doesn't matter. If it's there, it can be animated. Number 2 on my list is the Beholder, which you can find on page 28. Now, the Beholder is just a classic monster from D&D. Goes all the way back to, I believe, 1st edition. If I'm incorrect, please let me know in the comments below. Now, the Beholder is one of my favourite monsters because it has such a variety of attacks. It has an anti-magic cone centering at the very centre of its eye, basically forcing a cone of anti-magic, an anti-magic field essentially, within its sight. If it can see you, you can't do magic. That's what makes this creature so goddamn dangerous. It has 10 different eye rays which you can use. It can charm a party member. It can paralyse them. It can make them scared. It can induce the effect fear. It can slow you down. It can perform slowness on you. It can use its enervation ray. It can also use its telekinetic ray. It can put you to sleep. It can put you to sleep. It can petrify you. It can also one of the more deadly ones, besides number 10, the disintegration ray. The death ray, not so bad compared to the disintegration ray. In order to bring someone back from the dead in D&D, you need a body. The disintegration ray, there's nothing left except a pile of dust. You need a body to be resurrected. That's what makes the Beholder one of the more deadliest monsters in D&D, but also still one of my favourites. Number 3, and on page 63, you can find the Quasit. The Quasit not being the most powerful monster in D&D by any means, also not the weakest either. These small little creatures, their class is tiny for a good reason. They're probably about a foot tall, if that. But the Quasits are little small demonic creatures, demonic shapeshifters. They can turn into anything of its relative size, so it has to be a tiny creature, quotation marks, as it's like a form in the game. Me personally, I like to use Quasits as sort of mini messengers from hell. Anytime Avalana is not doing something or needs to do something for her patron, she has the Pact of the Fiend, Warlock, but she's also a Kalashar, so it means Asmodeus can't talk to her in her dreams, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, so hence why I had to use Quasits to start bringing Avalana information, or telling her what to do through little Quasit messengers, always when they're asleep, and always with a small scroll and bopping her on the head. I don't know why, I just find that so funny. This small little literally, this small little creature with his little scroll, bap, 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 dropping the skull, then scurrying away. I like them, they're cute, I find them cute, weird little creatures, and they're always a lot of fun to use. Number 4, and on page 82 you can find the Doppelganger. If you want to spook a party out and make them not trust anyone, drop a Doppelganger in on them. Doppelganger, again, relatively decent in combat. If you drop a Doppelganger amongst the party with some nefarious plans, they're not going to trust a lot of people. Not easily anyway. It's always fun to sow these little seeds of deceit amongst the party. It's a lot of fun. If you're a DM and you've never used a Doppelganger before, 1, use them carefully, use them discreetly, And remember, the objective of a doppelganger is to not get caught as a doppelganger. And number 5, on page 191, we find the Intellect Devourer. The Intellect Devourer is a tiny aberration, tiny creature, normally found around mind flayers. So if you discover one of these small, tiny dog-like brain creatures, be on the lookout. You might be near some mind flayers. Yeah, Intellect Devourers are quite scary for players, especially considering if you, as a player, if you fail a saving throw, the Intellect Devourer is going to literally eat your brain and then teleport inside that body. Intellect Devourers would normally go after the dumbest member of the party, because that's the easier meal. And if they do succeed in teleporting into the brain case of one of your party members, especially if there's like a barbarian, good luck. You are now fighting your own party member, and that party member is pretty much dead. If I remember correctly, something roughly around the power level of a wish spell can bring them back. I'm not sure if resurrection spells or anything like that can bring them out. I will have to look that up later. Hi, Future Jordan here. According to the internet, not sure. I've seen some talk about greater restoration spells being used to give back the player's brain, or the character's brain rather. And I think, me personally, I would say yes, a greater restoration spell would work. That's how I would run it. Up to your DM. And number 6, on page 220, we have the Mimic. The Mimic is one of my favourite creatures, mainly because of its ability to morph and shapeshift into just random items. Some DMs will let them shapeshift into things like larger weapons and things like that. For me personally, that's a bit of a stretch. Me personally, I like to stick Mimics as chests, barrels. If it's a larger Mimic, maybe a house hunter. I might make them a full-size building, or even an outhouse. Always watch out for teeth when you go into the outhouse, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Mimics are always great fun, especially for the greedy party member. Always fun to put a Mimic up against a greedy party member, especially if it's the cocky rogue thief who's always out to get a bit of coin. Makes them think twice about opening random chests. You never know when one might be a Mimic. Number 7, on page 242 of the Monster Manual, you'll find the Gelatinous Cubes, or as my pet name for them, Dungeon Roomba. Gelatinous Cubes are fun in a lot of different ways. One, you can basically hide them in plain sight. If they don't move, you can't see them, pretty much. I believe you have to... Yes, you have to make a DC 15 Wisdom or Perception check in order to see one that could be this far from your face. They can also be very, very useful as the they can also be very, very useful at the bottom of pitfall traps. You can have one just sit down there waiting for unsuspecting adventurers just wander in. Also, if your DM or at any time describes a dungeon as being rather clean, no dust, no cobwebs, no rusted swords or shields or any kind of signs of life, be prepared, there might be a gelatinous cube literally around the next corner. He's waiting for you to walk into it. Number 8, at page 259 in the Monster Manual, you'll find the Revenant. Revenants are one of the more interesting monsters you can put up against your players. They are basically the souls that have come back from the dead due to a cruel or undeserving death. If one of your party members has basically become murder hobo on a particular NPC, Dungeon Masters, don't be afraid to throw a Revenant at them. Yes, they're a bit more powerful, and there's not a lot of things you can do against a Revenant besides find someone who can essentially break that tether, break that bond between whoever killed them and the Revenant. A Revenant will always take to anyone else besides the person who killed them, they'll take on just a burnt husk of a body. Just fire, magma, just burnt corpse look effect, where the person who killed them will always see that person how they were in life. The Revenant will follow whoever dealt their cruel fate till the day they die, and will not stop, and their spirit will not rest until that party member or that player has been killed. Again, I say this, take it with a grain of salt. Definitely do this. Definitely put a Revenant up against one of your players if they've got a bit murder hobo. If they're going around killing your NPCs for literally no good reason besides they want to, a Revenant might just change their ways. You never know. But yeah, one of my favourite monsters in D&D, and I plan to use one this campaign or next campaign. I'm not too sure yet. At number 9 on page 272 we find the skeleton. Now, I know what you're thinking, Jordan, skeletons, they're not strong, they're not special or anything like that, are they? Really? Are they? Actually, yes, skeletons can actually be very, very good, especially if you have a death cleric in your party, or your party is going up against a death cleric. Yes, zombies are all well and good and all that, but skeletons have a slightly higher intelligence score of 6, which allows them to use weapons and, even at a push, siege weaponry. You get a death cleric, or anyone that can perform like raise dead, or no, not raise dead, I'm thinking of the other one. you find someone who can basically make skeletons. You've got a pretty decent army if they can continue to cast it. Yeah, enough time and enough skeletons, you can basically make yourself an army. Yeah, that's why skeletons are one of my favourites. Again, not my major favourite, but they're still pretty handy in a pinch. On to number 10. Page 328 is where you'll find the giant spider. Now, giant spiders never were really my favourite monster in D&D. Not until Mousesanct. Oh, the day I put a giant face spider up against Mousesanct and the rest of the party was the day a beautiful meme was made. I absolutely love it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Mousesanct is basically Mousesanct, or Stefan. The player is Stefan, character is Mousesanct. Mousesanct has essentially developed a fear of anything with more than 6 legs. All because I put a giant face spider up against him, and it has now become one of my favourite things to do, whether it be giant mechanical spiders, itty bitty little spiders, or giant phasing spiders. They can phase in and out of reality and bite you in the backside. And bonus monster, on page 97 you can find the Ancient Red Dragon. Anytime you see a dragon in popular culture or pop fiction, whatever you want to call it, that dragon you see is pretty much the embodiment of the Ancient Red Dragon from D&D. The Ancient Red Dragon has one of the best breath weapon attacks, has some of the best health, has some of the best legendary actions. It can do a lot of stuff. It is one of my favourite dragons to use if I'm going to put the players up against a dragon. Story reasons might dictate a different type of dragon, but an Ancient Red Dragon, there's not a lot they're going to be able to do about that. Even at 20th level. It's going to be difficult. Right. Thank you very much for joining me today, guys. If you liked it, please make sure you leave a like, favourite, comment and subscribe. And of course, I will see you in the next one. Peace, bye, love you guys.